the financial district, the heartbeat of the American economy. The only place where you can get robbed by a nigga with a suit on and a fountain pen. Let's build one. All right, as we continue on, this week's episode is gonna be a little different. You'll see why later. It just doesn't have the normal flow. But the first thing we gotta do is we gotta fill in this space right here has been bothering me for so long. It's a lot of bendy streets. It's weird. It's an old folks home next to a Ferragamo building. We got to make it look like something, at least this little part right here. So you can see I'm using PO on one of the little matching. It's another building that's in that same set, but I kind of used PO on it to kind of shrink it down just a little bit. I'm also going PO crazy on this Panera Bread. Why? Because I like Panera Bread, man. They be smacking. They had these macaroni and cheese panini thing a while back, macaroni and cheese sandwich or something. I was like, oh man, this is crazy, man. So I got to put the Panera Bread up in the city. We definitely gonna add a little detail, but I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it because it's nothing, groundbreaking. We just gonna make it look nice. And again, really, it's just so what comes next doesn't have a big giant gap. I mean, there's gonna be a gap in it. There's nothing I can do about it because on this episode, we're actually gonna skip further down our main avenue and I'm gonna build like a financial district. But if I would have not worked on this part of it, I feel like bridging it all together, bridging this section and what we build today would have felt forced. This was the better way of going about it. Let me address this little ridiculous area right here. This area next to our data mining agency, right across from that Panera Bread, I'm just gonna turn it into like a nice park. I'm not gonna do the swooshy paths. I'm gonna do like the real blocky Tetris looking paths, number muncher looking path, and we're gonna use some regular old default park fence, and we're gonna lay out some of our benches here and there. There's not really gonna be any entertainment value or anything like that. This is really, again, just to give me an area that kind of bridges between our data mining agency and some of the residential and more chill stuff that's gonna be down here on this side of the city. And then we're gonna have a big giant financial district. It's gonna be crazy. It'll make way more sense, I think, after a few more episodes. So the next few episodes, I'm just kind of taking my time doing little pieces of a larger picture. So you're gonna have to kind of bear with me before it all makes sense. We definitely gonna have some bald spots up in the mix, but that section's done. Like I said, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on it, but it looks better than it did, man, especially that place with that building. But for today's agenda, we gotta skip way down here at the end of this street, man. I've been wanting to do something with a canal in this part of the city, but everything was already so built up, there was nowhere for me to really add one. We are far enough away from all this stuff now to where I feel like I can get away with it and it won't mess. Let me line this up a little bit better in the middle of this main here. Hold on one second. Some of these streets gonna have to go, man. They're in my way. And let's drop the ends of it down so we can make sure the water's kind of flowing in. I'm also probably going to hit that with the little node controller a little bit and kind of stretch those nodes out. But right now, I'm just kind of making sure all of our streets that are bridges, you can see the water flowing in, everything looking nifty on 50. And I actually gonna switch that bridge out too. I'm not a fan of that vanilla bridge, but we're not gonna worry about that for right now. I'm gonna connect up the few streets, or not extend the few streets, because they're not really connected up to that main avenue. These are like neighborhood streets. And I'm gonna switch some of this around. And we also gonna hit this node controller right here. Speaking of the node controller, let me go ahead and stretch out the ends of these. I don't know why I felt like doing this. I've never even seen a canal in real life, so I don't know what they look like or if this is real. I don't care. I just wanted to make it look nice. And let's delete some of those trees. Now we're gonna start picking skyscrapers. The stuff that we had before was kind of big paws, but these are gonna be ridiculously big. These are like these are financial buildings, man. I want them to be big and chunky. Like I said at the beginning of the series, or one of the episodes, y'all might have missed it, I wanted the skyline to have kind of a New York style dip in it. Like if you look at New York from New Jersey, there's kind of a dip right around Midtown and it kind of pops back up in Battery Park. That's kind of the vibe I was going for, that extended skyline. And again, with these buildings, these are the biggest joints that are down here. It's not everything we're gonna put down here, but all I see is possibilities. Y'all don't see the vision yet, but trust me, man, it's space down here.
Look at all this floor space. So much aerobics in here. So many activities.
I'm gonna check the Rico stats and make sure none of these buildings are, like 5,000 workers or nothing crazy like that. It's definitely some weird stats out there. I'm also gonna turn one of these into a IT cluster building just to service this area down here, so we won't have so many cargo trucks coming down. I don't have warehouse space in that yet, but again, with this episode and this part of the city, you're not gonna feel like we're done for about 3 episodes. My goal is to not jam pack this full of buildings. Right now, I'm just taking an asset that I would know I would never use, and I'm adding 30 people to it. Basically, I'm using this as a fake residential block, and I'm gonna slide it inside this building right here. I don't have any other residential blocks that are recode with that high amount of residents right now. So I'm adding a little bit more to this road network back here to kind of compensate for this ginormous building right here. Like, that is a giant building, man. We gotta balance everything out. I'm also going to line this whole area with some nice city keys. And I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know right now off the gate, I never had an idea for how to end the city, as far as like, this is kind of the end, at least of this part. How does this end? Is it supposed to be a roundabout or a park? Or I didn't look at anything on a map. I probably should have. But right now, I'm just going to run that 3-lane road into a couple of 2-lane roads, and that's just going to be the end of that right now. I might look something up. I may look up, what's the furthest road down on the island of Manhattan? How does that look? Is it a sweeping curve? What is it? Maybe I can mimic that. But for right now, we just going to tee that right into those little road networks. We're not too much worried about it. This is what we worried about. We worried about that view, shooting down that avenue. Like, I wanted everything else to feel big while you're in it. But if you look down the street, you like, bro, that is Stark Tower down there at the end of the. So that's kind of the vibe I wanted to go for. Again, this is the financial district. This is where the real money is getting moved around. Them Taylors is definitely down here getting that money. If y'all been following the lore of my city, this is their kingdom down here. You got to have your paper correct to be down here. I'm using PO on a couple of those assets just to make a kind of unique tower shape. And the reason why I use PO, just for anybody that's wondering, is because you can't sink them down like that without destroying the ground. Right now, I'm adding some public transportation, and there will be no bus connection between this side of the city and everything that you just saw back there. If you want to come down here, you either drive a car, you walk, or you take a ferry. This is going to be our first official working ferry stop down here. If you do remember me doing the transport hub episode, I put a ferry stop down there, but I turned it off because I never used it. Nothing was ever connected to it. But this is going to actually service this area. Now, we will have a bus connection, a network that services down here. It's just not going to run up that avenue and connect to the other side of the city. Not realistic, but it's just what I wanted to do. Also, what I wanted to do is take my time detailing up this station, this stop. I guess it's not really a station if it's a ferry. And we're gonna connect everything up, make sure it's connected up to where our ferry depot is, way back here in the old town. I'm gonna spend a short amount of time just sprinkling around what I call, the pre-details, man. It's not really detailing, it's just vibes detailing, getting me into the mood of detailing, adding some logos to some of the buildings. I'm tightening up this grass avenue with some of these giant alders. Definitely wanted to have a different feel. I'm gonna show y'all a view from a distance. You can see the little depression in the middle I'm talking about. We're gonna fill it in. It's just not gonna be that tall, but down there you can see it's money getting made way down at the end. We're gonna call this the district South Gate, by the way. This is the most southern point of the city, and I'm gonna add a few of these retaining walls right here to the Canal network, just to make the Canal feel a little less vanilla. I mean, it's not like any type of props or anything attached to them. And I mean, I don't know what would be attached to one. Again, I've never seen a canal in real life. They could be butt naked just like that. So I'm gonna throw in some temporary bushes, some temporary alders. All this stuff is probably gonna get moved. It's so crazy that before we built any of this canal work, any of that chevron was sitting right there, and I would have never thought it would be sitting like this close to a financial sector of the city. And here's like the last building I wanted to add. It's just because it just seems like there's a little pocket in my view that I wanted to fill up. So we're gonna have to extend out the rest of the road network as well, and we're gonna have to move this key wall. I'm about to move all this back to right about here, but I'm not gonna add no more, I promise. It was just, I felt like there was a little spot that just needed to be filled in, and that's the spot it had to go in. So you can see the river cats are out. They're on their way to pick up our people. So y'all hang around while I detail up our stop. That definitely feels finalized. One thing that I wanted to show is I'm using my little underground hidden road technique with the tunnel to add this stock exchange. Now the reason why I'm doing that is because that building looks absolutely ridiculous with the giant coins on the side. It's like where the Monopoly man live. But I'm gonna hide this underneath a way better building, and I'm gonna pretend that all of our stock exchanging is going on up in that white and blue building right there. I just want to see how the stock market works. I'm also so broke right now, I had to take out a loan to just buy some stocks, but we making like a lot of money really fast, especially the way I detail. I detail off with the game playing, so I make a lot of money. Right now, going back to our little coastal area, which is our main concern for this episode, I really want to put a working industrial building right here next to the ferry. You might as well take advantage of the fact that it's loud and people can't live right there. And it's just one, you know, it's not like it's going to be a giant industrial sector. I mean, every little bit helps. We'll throw some logoage on that, and I'm going to use some terraforming paths to make sure that land is not sticking out past my little key wall. This is just an office building. It's just a buffer building between that noisy industrial and whatever else we put over on this side. But we're not actually going to extend past this on this side of the canal in this episode. This is the last building. So I'm taking my time again. That's the whole motivation behind this, man. I be missing out on having fun because I be trying to do like, oh, we need to do this whole section. Who said that? Who made up these rules? Whoever made up the rules, we not following them no more. We're going back to playing how we want to play. So again, right here next to this is across the canal, next to our little fancy park we built in the earlier part of the episode. And it's actually really close to our Harvey district. If you remember our last episode, the LGBTQ community down there with the club district, where they're actually partying 24/7. That party never stops. I know them people are super tired. They want to go home. So tonight we're gonna party till the party don't stop. Right now, though, I'm gonna add some of these clear condos. I actually use these in my Starfall City series. Whoever made these, they really went in, man. I mean, it's furniture on the inside, and I actually use Bob to even make the furniture more crazy. I'm using some terraforming networks because I really want this to tuck as close as it possibly can next to this street. And you can see I'm using a double retaining wall. It's just for aesthetics. It's no functionality behind that or anything. I just want it to look like the wall is a little beefier. I'm gonna add some sidewalks to this, and I'm gonna put our Market Square Commons sign on the side. And this right here is actually a high density commercial building behind it. So hopefully we won't have any noise complaints out of that. A little bit of foliage, and I'm gonna actually add some stairs that connect up. These keys are actually walkable. I didn't know that, you know, until a few episodes ago. So I actually been trying to take advantage of those more. And right here on the corner, I'm using a straight up vanilla asset and a procedural object sign. Let's make a little cyber cafe right here. We'll add some seating outside. We'll color coordinate those seats to make everything red. It's a blood gang right here in this cyber cafe. And in this little sitting area, we'll just add this is a plaza asset. I use this procedural objects, and now it just looks like a little park. I don't know. Up here on the hill, this is behind our ferry stop. There's a bus stop right here, but I felt like, yo, there's no way it would just be that. Bus stop with the glass thing and a sign. There's no way. Not if it was this part of the city, not if it was right here by a ferry stop. So I thought about it for a sec, and I came up with the idea of a cliffside bus stop. I actually made this into a TikTok video. It just seemed perfect for a TikTok video. And Scooter's Cafe, somebody actually told me in my comments it's a real place. So I actually use procedural objects to make the sign say world famous coffee stand instead of drive through, even though there is like a little drive through window. We're gonna call that our order up window. You walk up, you order, and then you kind of hang around, wait on the bus, you talk some jive with your homies. I'm actually gonna use procedural objects on a piece of asphalt, and I'm gonna make my own little custom bus lane just for my OCD. Go drag out some of those super flat curves. It looks like lines. I'm using them because there's no curvy lines. And the last part of this episode, I actually wanted to take something I saw from the workshop and just do my own spin. There's a prop on the workshop called a sunken road detail or something like that. You put it over a highway. I said, why not take that same concept and apply it to a canal? I mean, it is high enough for any of the little river cat boats and the ferries to get underneath it. The canal isn't like super close. There's a a bit of space. So why not take advantage of that and take a little section right here next to the main avenue, and let's just go crazy with some bushes, crazy with some props. I'm not gonna make it like a full, shopping kiosk, food court or nothing like that, but we are gonna put a couple of little assets to maybe you come get some ice cream, but mostly this is a place for people to just chill, man. Get some peace in the middle of all this craziness down here before you jump off a building because you lost $200 million in one day or something. Because them financial people be having hard times, but they be playing with other folk money and they lose their money. Don't end it, bro. Step back from that ledge, my friend. Join me in the park. Let's get a Nathan's hot dog, man. It ain't that serious, bro. Let's just hang around down here and let's talk about it. That's it for this week's episode. Y'all continue to like, comment, and subscribe. This is like a 3-parter right here, man. This is like Lord of the Rings trilogy. Ain't no way I was going to even attempt to fit this in one episode. So I'll see y'all like next week or something, man. Roll them cinnies.